guys, back in part 2, where did I leave off? Teching. So as I was saying, if you're in a bit of a standstill, you want to tech, you want to get some more powerful units to break that barrier. But knowing when to tech is very key. You have to have good timing. If your opponent's harassing you, you don't want to start teching, because what happens, you got no early game units, you have nothing to fight off that harassment, and eventually he will just crush you tier 1 units, and I've done that a lot actually. Fast teching. Fast teching works, yes it does, but it only works against noobs who don't harass and who don't build any tier 1 units early on. If you want a fast tech, I can't really help you there, because there's nothing much to explain. Just don't do it, basically. Anyway, early game rushes work like a charm. You see, if you watch pro matches, you'll notice most of them end on the early game. If you GDI, something simple you can do. Power plant, barracks, refinery, war factory, refinery. War factory, you build a pit bull, you go scout his base, you build 2 more harvesters. There you go. 2 refineries, 4 harvesters at your main tib field. With that war factory and barracks, plow off missile squads and predators. While you're doing that, you move your MCV up into the next expansion field. Say you're playing tournament tower, you move it up to by the tower. But instead of moving it just by your expansion field, why not move it to the middle of the field? If you've already scouted and he hasn't expanded yet, that's perfect. If your opponent hasn't expanded yet, when you're expanding, you have the advantage. So you want to scout that. No expansion, great. Move up your MCV by the tower. You got a radius around his tip field and yours. Now, seeing that he hasn't expanded yet, and obviously he hasn't really established much map control, but you have with your MCV. Now what you can do is you can start building refineries at his Tiberium field. And this is a rush, believe it or not. Of course, this is a rush. You're taking control of his Tiberium field. What's he going to do? He's going to panic. He's going to send all those units in. And while he's trying to destroy your little base there, you've got predators and missile squads already. And you can send them in, and you probably will have a little bit of a battle over there. But as soon as the Tiberium runs out at his main field, he is screwed. Absolutely screwed. There's nothing you can do. Meanwhile, you can keep gathering money from 3 different tib fields. You can keep building defenses by your MCV, and eventually all his units will be lost. It'll be very hard for him to take back the tib field, and he will quit, or you'll just run over his base eventually. Now, a good time to tech there, this would be if you're having a little bit of battle over the middle and it's not really getting anywhere, and you've both got quite equal units, and he seems to be a very good player, and he seems to be microing his units better, and he seems to have more than you. Well, then you can start teching if you have the money, of course. You want to build up in the both tib fields that you own. You want to maybe tech to air to give you a bit of an advantage, mix things up a bit from just ground units. You want to always keep it different. Don't just, if you're going predators and missile squads and it's getting countered, don't stick with that. Screw it. Go for orcas, or even, something else which your opponent, it's going to be different for him, and it's going to be harder for him to counter. You want to make sure that he's always on the back foot. The minute you let him come at you, this is not good territory. You want to keep him on the back foot constantly, which means changing up your unit combination. So if he's just got the perfect counter for your predators, you go orcas. Bam, new problem for him. Oh shit, he's got orcas, what do I do? Therefore he has to waste more credits on anti-air and shit like that, and that brings you back to the economy advantage. So you see how it all works. Okay, a bit more about rushing. Rushing is keeping to tier 1 units and overwhelming your opponent early in the game, which means just giving yourself a bit of a resource boost early in the game. Won't do any favors if you want to tech later, but it will if you're doing a rush. So with GDI, good thing to do, try an engineer rush. Why not? From your war factory, you've got your 2 refineries, 4 harvesters. You get a war factory, you plow off a couple of APCs, a couple of more engineers, doesn't cost too much, put them in the APCs, drive him to his base, see if you can get anything. Chances are you probably won't, but at the same time, if you're harassing him with orcas, and you're taking out his harvesters and you keep coming back and forth with orcas, he'll be concentrating so much on your orca attack, he won't even realize this engineer is slipping into his base. In which case, yes, you can effectively capture one of his buildings. So keep your opponent focused on something else while you do something. And if that means having to lose all your orcas for his MCV, for me, that would be a fair trade. So I've gone over a lot of stuff in this installment. Sorry guys, my microphone's going a bit strange. Anyway, I've gone over a lot of stuff here. Hope this helped. Now, in the next part, I'm going to be breaking down the different factions. I'm going to go through build orders and all that sort of stuff. So I'll see you then, and cheers.